Alrighty. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another installment of Timeout with Doc and Caveman. We are here for another draft profile. Today, we are going to be focusing on Ochai. I practice this so much, Abaji, and then as soon as it comes time, but
Star
Abaji, I
Wars.
believe. Yes, I believe
And
that is the
Star
correct way
Wars.
to say it. Abaji. Yeah. Okay. So, 6'5", 215-pound senior last year at Kansas. Won Player of the Year. Was a leading scorer on the national champions. Average 18.8 points, 5.1 rebounds, almost 41% from three-point land on nearly 6.5 attempts, which is very impressive. So,
Yeah.
Caveman, go ahead and kick it off. What do you have for him?
All right. I mean, you got when you're the leading scorer and probably the best player on a national championship team, there's gonna be a lot to your game that you like. The I mean his you guys talk about his shooting ability and like all it's just it's impressive to see him to be able to shoot the ball as the screen says swish when I'm talking about his shooting ability. That's just
Great timing.
I love that timing. But yeah, I like his jumper. It's very smooth. I mean he just shoots the ball at a very nice. You mentioned 40% from three on a solid volume of shots. That's I mean that's impressive to be have that kind of attempts and being that high percentage. The other thing that I like I noticed that he's a pretty athletic. I mean you see, a lot of these guys in this class have a good amount of athleticism to him, but I think he's one of the more athletic guys in this class, and I love watching him. I was just about to mention his I was just about to mention his finishing on alley oops as I see two alley oops. He finishes. Uh, this video I don't like this video, man. Not gonna lie.
It's creepy. It's almost like you've
It's a
seen it
creepy
before.
video. But yeah, I like his athleticism really shows out on the alley oops, and that's just I like I'm not like you. I like excitement in my players, and not just all defense. So he kind of just an exciting player to watch, and his just game is excitement.
Yeah, I mean, I'll also counter that a little bit because I agree that he has a good athletic profile, but he does play some good boring basketball too, honestly. I mean, he is a very good team defender. He's got good length, he's got a good motor. I mean, he probably going through the profiles we've gone through so far, I think that he could be the best 3 and D guy in this class for
Yeah,
sure. So I think he
yeah.
has a lot of upside. One of the things, I always like to point out is when a player improves significantly over their careers. And, obviously he's a senior, so he played all 4 seasons,
Yeah.
and he improved in almost every single regard. From his freshman season to being a senior. So I always think that's encouraging when somebody's asked to put on and have more of a workload and they continue to improve on their game. And no, he was a vital part of a championship team. And so he's
Mhm.
a winning kind of player. And there's not many. I don't think there's too many flaws in his game, and we'll talk about some of the weaknesses. I think he pretty much covered all the improvements that strengths that I had.
Mhm.
The shooting, I guess it's just important to highlight that he's an off the ball player. He's not going to be a
Oh,
primary ball
oh yeah.
handler. He's good. He's great at cutting, getting to the rim, getting to the basket, but he's not going to blow by you in the half court. So that kind of transitions anyway. The two major weaknesses that I had were his handle and then scoring at the
Mhm.
basket slash his
Yeah.
creativity. He's more of just a catch and shoot 3-point shooter and a guy that can be a pretty high level defender at the next level. If he is able to get more creative offensively, which I'm not going to rule out, I
Mhm.
always mention a guy like Kawhi. Kawhi coming out of San Diego State was not the most put together offensive product. He was very raw, great defender. He was a great 3-point shooter, but he really and rebounder. He I think averaged 10 rebounds at San Diego State, but and he was able to develop that. So not to say he's going to be Kawhi, but I think
That
that's
is
one of
what
those
you are
things.
saying.
Same player, really. But guys like this, I think they have a lot of upside because you can watch film, you can watch tape, and you
Mhm.
can improve your creativity. I will say, he's probably going to be one of the older players in this class. So
Yeah.
is that as feasible for him to do that? Maybe not, but I won't rule it out. If worst case scenario, he's a high level player on a, really, really good team.
Yeah, and here's the interesting thing. I mean, you talk a lot about when the guys come out and they play 4 years and he's already 22. I think he's weird because I think he has more upside than a lot of other like 22-year-olds you see coming out. Like I don't think his age is really hinders his upside much, if at all, if I'm being honest. I mean, the going off your ball handling, which is definitely the biggest thing for me. The concerning part about it is he actually had a negative assist to turnover ratio. That that is just I have never like I was doing my research. I have never come across that with anybody that I've ever researched. I didn't even know that was a thing people had. But apparently he has a negative assist to turnover ratio. That is that is priority number one, I think. Not necessarily to become a better passer, but just got to be smarter with it. I think that's something that can easily come. Uh, you kind of hit, you touched on the shot creation. He's gonna have to rely on others for his offensive for scoring, which I'm not too concerned with at the next level. You got a bunch of guys. The team, whatever team he goes to, I'm pretty sure he's gonna probably be playing next to an excellent setup guy. So, no, last thing I want to touch on, I would like to see his free throw percentage improve a bit. Maybe it's a little bit nip. I don't know. I just think out of a guard, I'd like to see it a little higher than 74%. I'd like, especially considering he shot 40%. So the form is there. Like the form is good. Because he shot 40% from three. But I'd like to see that free throw percentage ideally be in like the low 80s. So I don't know if it's a concentration thing. I don't know if it's just something he just has to practice. But I just think that is something. Is that something or nothing? You think with the? Do you think? Do you think? Do you think that's a weakness? 'Cause I see it as I think that's definitely something he can improve on there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not ideal, but I would say it's probably okay at this point. You would want it
I
to
mean,
be
yeah, it's,
better, but it is
yeah,
one of those things. He was at 67% when he was a freshman, so he has improved on it since then. So, you tick
that
it up
makes
a few
sense.
more percentage points and he's in a good spot. I mean, I will say too, I don't know if it's necessarily I mean, he did average almost 4 attempts, but that was kind of an outlier in his career. His first 2 seasons, he averaged 1.5 free throw attempts a game, so it really wasn't even a big part of his game. So I think just getting to the basket and drawing contact and in general is probably the bigger concern.
Yeah, improving the free throw percentage is one of the easiest things they. I mean, not easy, but it's
Tell
definitely
Shaq
one.
that.
I don't think Shaq ever went into the gym and shot free throws.
I don't believe that he did. I hope he didn't, honestly, or he wasted his time.
But like
Um,
that's all. Yeah, that's all it takes is just that practice.
So for some ideal fits, my top three, I had the Hawks, Cavaliers, and Knicks. You talked about playing against, and that's kind of the range that I see him potentially going in. Is kind of I've seen some have him going at 10, but Realistically to me, somewhere like between 10 to 15 is probably the range that you'll see him go in.
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland picks at 14, Atlanta's at 16. So, yeah, I think that's a fairly good range for him. But you talk about Cleveland having a few good ball handlers. They really, and I think it's a product of Isaac Okoro has been very disappointing in his first 2 years so far. And I still think there's a void at the 3 for them. And he honestly would fit in really well with how they played defense last year and the current
Mm-hmm.
core that they have. So I think he fit in well with the Cavs. Same with the Hawks. They're still looking for just anybody who can defend the
Just
perimeter,
anybody.
honestly, at this point. So, put him alongside Trey Young. He's not going to be relied on to carry any sort of the load playmaking wise. So those were my top 3, and I threw the Knicks in there.
Yeah, I mean the Knicks are one of those. They can use anybody, any any guy with talent. Uh, I mean I'd love the Hawks fit if they're able to get him. I honestly don't know if he's going to slide that far down to 16. I mean he could. But I'm thinking. I mean I'm thinking the Hornets with LaMelo. Like talk about he will never be asked to be a ball handler or a playmaker. Because you got one of the premier playmakers in the league in Lamelo. So I think him like being able to play next to a guy like Lamelo, and you got Rozier there as well who can play make. I love that fit. I think Charlotte need and you said his ability defensively as well to be one of those premier 3-and-D guys. I think that he'd fit very well in Charlotte. Now, the reason I don't see him going to Charlotte a lot because I think Charlotte does have a bigger need at center.
Hmm.
But I think say if if they really like this guy, I think he'd be a great fit in Charlotte as well.
Yeah, Charlotte's interesting because they have some depth, and I think they just need some of their current core to take a step forward in order for them to take a step forward. But they have 2 mid-round, yeah, 13 and 15 are their
Mm-hmm.
current first-round picks. So they have probably they're the kind of team where a guy like this probably makes sense too, because I feel like they need contributors now. So yeah, I think that could be a nice fit as well. NBA comparisons. One of the reasons I kind of liked the Knicks fit just from the outside was I mentioned it already, but I still think that they missed Reggie Bullock pretty significantly last year, which
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm alone in believing that. But I think he could be a good replacement for him, and I think
Yeah.
he's a decent comparison. A great 3 point, great underrated 3-and-D player. I had Desmond Bain and Chris Duarte, who I feel like we always bring up during
Yeah.
these seniors coming into the NBA that are great 3-and-D guys. 2 other current players. I had Mikal Bridges from
Yep.
Phoenix,
I had him down as
and
well. I had him
um,
down.
I think he would, yeah, a similar role to what he's done next to Chris Paul. And
Yep.
then my boy Jay Crowder,
Yeah,
I think
I had him down as well.
you have to have Jay Crowder, and that's I kind of mentioned it earlier. I think Abaji's he's just a winning kind of player. He's going to play,
Mhm.
above average defense. He's going to be a great 3-point shooter at the next level, and there's not a team in the league that wouldn't have the need for a player like this. If
Mhm.
we're being honest about it. That's why when you're talking about team fit, there's gonna just come a point where that's why I can't see him slipping that much. He's a perfect role player once you get into some of these teams that are ready to compete right now. Does his
Yep.
upside make sense for the top 7 teams who are trying to find a
Yeah, that's
superstar?
tough. Yep.
Probably not, but these teams that are looking to win and make an impact now, he's a perfect fit for.
Yeah, and that's the thing with him is that you took my 2 comparisons. Uh,
You're welcome.
but yeah, look at it. He's a guy where I think his weaknesses, I don't see him really like the team whoever he goes to. like his shot creation and his ability and like